All us tech heads have been watching the news with our eyes half closed. I just blinked yesterday and the prices of 16GB stick of RAM has equalled that to buying a small island nation. The increasing demand for AI infrastructure has caused DRAM prices to surge rapidly. Just thinking about a kit of RAM and the impact it would have on my wallet got me panicking. And things got any worse, I knew I wouldn't be able to do anything. I went from peaceful nights, dreaming of riding my horse through the mountains and the meadows of the American West, to all of a sudden having vivid nightmares of surging prices, greedy shareholders and the impact this was about to have on commercial technology. And then came that dreaded voice.
Oh, sorry, my good sir. You're 2 GB short for your payment this month.
I had to do something quick. I scrambled to Google, panic searching and finding the best prices so I could start building before it was too late. I scoured the web, Amazon, Newegg, PC Pot Picker. The panic was real. I needed a new rig for editing and gaming and my budget was getting squeezed tighter than a CPU cooler with too much thermal paste. I had to act fast. I even asked Gemini, will I have to switch to Arc? I had to do something desperate. I searched up, down, far, wide, and I was left with no choice. In the end, I had to go to AliExpress. I know what you guys are thinking. The guy's gone mad. He's going to waste all of his money and he's also speaking about gaming and editing rigs. How could you possibly build anything substantial from AliExpress? Well, I've actually got a little bit of experience with AliExpress. I've bought quite a lot of small tech and accessories that you can actually find on Amazon, where the Amazon sellers are selling it for double the price. I've also bought a few phones from there, and actually the first video I made on this channel was on an AliExpress OnePlus 15. I'm going to take you through my experience to let you know the good, the bad and the ugly, and whether it's something you should do for yourself. As with any PC build, it all started deep diving into the depths of Reddit, getting an understanding of what's good out there right now whilst hating on anybody who might have a little too much money to spend, followed by hours and hours of watching this gentleman right here telling me I'm an idiot in nerd language. Now once I had my list of parts sorted, I went browsing and picking the best deals I could possibly find. Now before you ask me why I'd put the power supply to not be from AliExpress, I really just didn't feel like waking up to the sound and sizzle of my own burning flesh. Just a thought. When shopping, I tried my best to stick to the brand certified option, which apparently guarantees the product you'll be receiving will be genuine. I filtered through products like crazy. Most resellers had almost no reviews or just weren't replying to questions under their listing. Eventually, I found my way through and found some key sellers that had everything I needed. I added everything to my basket, I held my breath and hit that checkout button. I was happy with my choices, but very nervous about the outcome. And just 3 days later, the first product arrived. A 1TB Crucial SSD that I'd picked up for the price of only £40. Yes, £40, about $55 to $60 for anyone listening in the US. I couldn't believe it myself. I went straight upstairs, installed it in my PC and voila, a 1TB Crucial SSD. I ran it through every test I could think of, read-write testing, transferring 900GB files, running games, everything worked. I was over the moon. But here's when things got a little bit sticky and it wasn't AliExpress's fault at all. I'd become absolutely obsessed with micro ATX PCs in the span of just 3 days. I'd ordered myself a Johnsbow D32 Pro case from the UK, but there was one problem. The motherboard I'd ordered. I'd ended up ordering a full ATX X670 at an incredible price, but it was the only thing keeping me from my dream micro ATX build. And when I went to check, it was probably the only time in my life I was disappointed to see these words. But what I saw was dispatched. I pondered for a bit on what to do next, but I realised I'm not going to give up on my micro ATX dream that easily, and I ended up ordering a micro ATX B850M mortar from MSI for over £100 cheaper than in the UK, in the hopes that AliExpress would abide by its 90-day period for the accidental order earlier. After all, I'd been a returning customer for absolutely years now, and with that hope, the waiting game began once again. Unlike my other smaller orders in the past, things weren't so simple. There wasn't no direct flight carrying these bulky items over, and I quickly realised that they were coming by boat, taking multiple pit stops across the way, sometimes stuck in unknown and unidentified countries for days at a time. But 3 weeks later, everything had arrived. I know you're probably wondering what exactly I ordered, so just quickly, my list had inevitably changed once I saw how much more I could get from China, so I ended up ordering the 7800 X3D for my processor, given how good it runs in games, and from what I'd read it'd be more than enough for the editing I'd be doing too. I ordered the PowerColor Hellhound 9070 XT2, which is arguably the best bang for your buck GPU right now, and this one in particular had pretty good reviews. I found this gem of DDR5 made by KingBank, which from overclocker forums and general reviews had fantastic performance and stability. It wasn't a brand that I'd heard of before, but as always, I trusted the overclocking gurus in guiding me with this one. As I said earlier, I got the MSI B850M Mag Mortar motherboard, And for the cooling, the Lian-Li SL-INF 120mm fans in both reverse and normal flow, and alongside this, the Galahad V2 AIO. I'm kind of an aesthetics over performance kind of guy when it comes to cooling. And finally, the 1TB SSD, which was by far the best value item I'd ordered. I'd already picked up the case from watercooling.co.uk for the same price it was on AliExpress, so it made more sense to me to just order that from the UK. And finally, the power supply was an RM850E made by Corsair from one of my previous builds that would theoretically just about fit. Everything arrived well packaged and in its original packaging, other than the processor, which came in this hard plastic casing but had a seal over it and everything inside looked intact. The only real shipping scare I had was the plastic bag the cooler came in. It had a small hole in it, and unfortunately it'd been sitting on the front porch. If you know anything about Britain, then you know it was pouring it down the whole time. So when I got back from work, I took this small video at the time just showing the water damage, just in case really, but quite honestly everything inside was clean and dry. Phew. Unfortunately I don't have a full build video for you guys because only a month ago I wasn't even making YouTube videos. But on a side note, this was such a difficult build for no other reason other than the annoyances of micro ATX. Everything's just so crammed. At literal points I was measuring Wi-Fi cards to find one that would leave enough clearance for my fans and GPU. Such a struggle. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for. The build's done, everything's connected, no sparks, no smoke, no strange burning smells. I'm holding my breath and I hit that power button and boom, we've got boot. Now if you've ever built a PC before, you know that first minute is the most stressful part. The screen stays black just long enough for you to start replaying every bad life decision you've ever made. But we got straight into BIOS, no drama. Windows install, smooth. AMD Expo, it enabled first try. No RAM errors, no random restart, no weird behaviour. And I won't lie, that genuinely surprised me. Now I've been using this PC almost daily now, but on top of that I've also run some benchmarks for you guys. The 7800X3D from AliExpress has performed where it should in its Cinebench results, and the GPU has scored just as good in 3D Mark, but what I was most worried about with this was the RAM. So I ran some 2-hour stability testing and had 0 issues, and in all the last month using this PC not a single error has occurred, other than AMD's stupid driver errors. But I've also played games consistently, running at a decent FPS and smooth in both 2K and 4K resolution with no issues whatsoever. I know it might sound sketchy to you guys, but actually I'm even editing this video on this PC, and all the videos you've seen on my channel are all edited on this PC. I've had no issues whatsoever, and at this point I've been editing for over 5 hours. Not a single stutter, not a single error. Everything seems to be going good. But now we get to the real question. How much money did I actually save? So I've been tallying up the exact prices I'd spent on this build then and comparing them to the prices in the UK. I've been using price tracker websites to ensure I find the best deal available, and also looking at marketplaces such as eBay, but I've avoided listings like Gumtree and Facebook Marketplace as they're even more sketchy than our good friend Ali. So after tallying everything up, the AliExpress PC has cost me a grand total of 1,259 Great British pounds. That's about $1,700 US, including all taxes and custom charges. On the other hand, if I'd built this in the UK with the exact same specs, it would have been about £1,984 or $2,680 US. That's nearly $1,000 difference, or just over £700. That's absolutely fanatical savings. But was it worth it? I mean, to me, that's GPU upgrade money, that's better storage money, that's justify the risk money, or it's take your family on holiday money. But was it sketchy? Yeah. Was it stressful? Absolutely. Would I do it again? Honestly, probably. If you know what you're doing and you're comfortable troubleshooting and you're willing to accept the risk, yes, it can absolutely be worth it. But it's also important to remember this is an AliExpress build, and that comes with real risks. Returns on AliExpress, they haven't been an issue for me. In fact, the motherboard I accidentally ordered, I returned it no problem and had the money back in a week. But the situation regarding RMAs and manufacturer warranty? That's definitely something worth checking. Check whatever company or brand you're going to be ordering something from. Make sure they offer global warranty and coverage before you decide to spend any of your hard-earned money. If you found this useful, or if you're just here to watch me gamble with my finances, make sure you like the video, subscribe and let me know in the comments. Would you trust AliExpress with a full PC build, or am I just unhinged? And if you want to follow up, I can do long-term stability, gaming performance, thermals, or if something goes wrong, I'll make sure to make a follow-up video for you guys. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.